Festival. How are you doing? Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming out on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. My name is Dave Warnke, and this is a podcast, and podcasting is, of course, a team sport. So let's welcome my teammates now. It's Jess Perkins and Matt Stewart, ladies and gentlemen. Yay!
Thanks for having me, Dave.
That is a nice shirt.
All right, let's...
What, this old thing?
Calling it early.
All right, so...
Do you know where this shirt? You know where this shirt was purchased? Where was it purchased from exactly? Gary, Indiana. Camille?
Yes.
Camille, what a fucking legend. Everyone else here is on notice. Nah, good on you all. I'm not saying you're worse than him. He's just better than you. That's all.
No, that works.
Yeah, all right.
Good job.
Yeah, just trying to do the maths on that.
My strength.
For those listening at home, Matt is wearing a Gary, Indiana shirt, and I don't think he's ever going to take it off.
No.
Matt, take it off.
Camille also said, please don't go to Gary. It's no good. But I think he's lying.
Yeah, it just makes us want to go there even more. It totally does.
Murder capital? Yes.
I did not know that part. Yes.
Yeah, we do love good murder here at Do Go On. Let's see if someone gets murdered today. Okay.
That's fucked.
Oh, listen, I don't know if you've heard last week's episode, but listening back, I was encouraging a group of people to cheer a potential death. And then I was hearing myself be disappointed that someone didn't die. That's so bad. That's sociopathic right there. Anyway, but how are you, Jess and Matt? You good?
For the audio recording, Jess.
Yeah, she just flipped me off for those at home.
I'm going to do a lot of mime today. I don't know why. I'm very well, thank you, Dave. I had coffee earlier and I feel pretty blooded up tip-top. I had a banana for potassium.
You have coffee every day.
Yep.
Okay, and Matt, you good? You good for this?
Yeah, real good. I mean that.
Oh, good. And how are you guys? Are you good? Oh, there's so many of you here. Hello.
Hello, everyone at the bar. Hello.
You guys... I mean, it's impossible to get a drink right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's okay.
But if you wanted to grab us one, that's fine. No volunteers. Interesting, okay. That's why they don't get a seat.
Oh, you grabbed your beer just to sort of shove it in our faces.
I got mine. I'm prepared.
Yeah, well, that's our fault. You're right.
Oh, that is so right. Now, no, I do not want some of your beer. Thank you, though. Like, not that it's your beer. Yes, it is that it's your beer. Yeah.
I don't know where you've been.
I'll have some of yours. No. So if you
I'll have some of that one.
give me a round of applause if you have heard our podcast before. Thank you. Now, conversely, if you've never heard the podcast, cheer now.
It's okay.
People always point at them like this one. Make fun of this one.
We won't. I won't.
Welcome to the club.
Thank you.
Episode 130, I believe. What happens on this show is one of us is going to report on a topic suggested by a listener or multiple listeners, and this week it is my turn to do a topic. I'll stop it.
You fucking love it. You love it so much.
Now, I do love the reports. I love making the reports, but I also love making them really, really long. So I hope you have no plans tonight.
It's the only thing he can make long.
Oh, very good.
Sass Twins! Off to a raging start. You're fucked.
I'm not... And
I'm gonna take you down.
you're off to a raging start. I'm not off to a raging start.
Okay.
All right. She just implied my penis was small. I was just going with it. There's no bad ideas on the show, Jess. Even the ones, even that kind of idea. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start this topic with a question because I'm conventional. All right. Jess.
Yes.
Matt. To get us on topic, we start with a question.
I spoke.
You're not even
to you,
looking
I'm
at
so
me. That's
sorry.
fair enough. This question is one of those open ones. The potential of winning how much money would it take for you to consider sailing around the world on your own without stopping?
That was a confusing question. How much money would it take is what you're asking.
Yeah, how much prize money if you complete the task with your little sailing experience?
I mean, that's something you are presuming.
I typed in Jess Perkins sailboat into Google and nothing came up. So that's my research.
Try Jess Perkins yacht. Mega yacht.
Yeah, it doesn't count if you have a crew of 60 people running your mega yacht.
I did recently send you guys pictures of sick yachts I'd found online. Didn't I?
Yeah, she did. She said,
So-
which one?
Which one?
Which one are we going to buy first?
Yeah, podcasting is going real well.
Okay, how much money? Have you got any boating experience?
No, I mean, so I thought, how much would you be? So you're not paid up front. This
No,
is
it's only if you do it.
Well, as I could. I mean, I'm not going to ever do that. So it's a stupid question.
Well, all right.
Jess, tell him.
It's a stupid question.
Thank you.
All right, what if I offered you £5,000?
No.
All right. Well, some people are fucking dumb enough to try. So that was in the 60s, £60,000 or 110,000 Aussie dollars. Would you try it? You wouldn't try it.
For 110,000.
Yeah.
How much does a yacht cost for
Why
starters?
110? You know?
All right. All right. Well, I didn't think you'd get the topic. So this is the story of Donald Crowhurst and the Sunday Times Golden Globe race around the world.
Catchy.
Have you heard of that? Have any of you guys heard of that? Fuck yeah. Because this is a good story. I will not confirm nor deny that people die here. This topic was suggested by Karl Smith. Thank you, Karl.
That's a fake name. Karl. What's your surname? Smith.
Well, thank you, Karl Smith. So I'm just going to jump straight into the topic. You guys have never heard of it, obviously.
Nah.
No, I know it well. I'll take this one from here. In 1966.
I've worked too long and too hard on this to give that to him.
1966, you know what happened that year?
No?
Saints won the premiership.
Yeah.
You're wearing your Saints hat today.
He wears that every day.
Yeah.
He wears that every fucking day. Anyway, okay. This is the story of Don Crowhurst's The Sunday Times Golden Globe race around the world. Yes, it is fucking catchy, all right? It's a good band name. Okay. I reckon they'd suck. All right, in 1966, Englishman Francis Chichester, great English name, became the first person to single-handedly circumnavigate the world via the Clipper route. The Clipper route. I hear you ask, Jess. It's the Clipper route. Jess, do you want to have a guess at what the Clipper route is?
Say his name again.
Oh, all right. I thought you were laughing at root. Okay.
Yeah, that too.
Francis Chichester.
Oh, I love it so much. I love the shape your mouth makes.
Oh,
Shane, you got that, yeah?
oh you must.
Yeah.
Chichester.
Stephen. That is Stephen.
Stephen.
Fucking Stephen. Fucking hate that dog so much. Anyway, the Clipper route, I hear you ask. Thank you. The Clipper route is basically the fastest continuous round-the-world route from England to Australia and back again. However, it is also one of the most dangerous, passing south of the three Great Capes. What?
Dave knows all about fast routes.
My favourite bit was, I'd well and truly moved on. You were like,
I hadn't.
I think there's a joke here. Give me a sec. Give me a
Come on,
sec.
Perkins, you
Fast
can do
route!
You're right, I am a comic genius.
This has 18 pages.
For context, mine normally are 7.
All right, so it's a super dangerous route. You go through the 3 Great Capes, exposing your ship to hazards like fierce winds, huge waves, and icebergs. The 65-year-old Chichester captured the hearts and attention of England when he single-handedly achieved the feat in the world record-setting time of 9 months and 1 day. He returned to 250,000 people cheering him on, and a few weeks later he was even knighted by Queen Elizabeth II for his efforts. So it was a big deal in England at the time. On his journey, he had stopped off in Sydney. So before he even returned, people...
That's in our country.
Yes. Which is on the Clipper route. So before he even made it back, people were looking ahead at the next challenge. They thought they wanted to be the first person to solo circumnavigate the world via the Clipper route without stopping at all. That's the next challenge. Chichester had been sponsored by the Sunday Times newspaper, and they had unexpectedly profited from his success. He had brought the paper fame and glory, and they had greatly increased sales with their coverage of his travels. So, 28-year-old English Navy man and sailor Robert Knox Johnston was adamant that the first non-stop solo circumnavigation should be completed by an Englishman, and he tried to get sponsorship from the Sunday Times.
Okay.
But they said no.
No.
They did not have confidence in the young man. They didn't think that he was going to be the first person to do this, so he instead went to the Sunday Times.
Okay.
Sunday Mirror.
Oh my God.
No, clerical error. In fact, many people came out of the woodworks and they started claiming that they would be the first to attempt the voyage. And the Sunday Times had the problem of not knowing who to back. Sure, they wanted to be involved with the first person to do it, but they didn't want to put all their eggs in one basket and have some other sailor beat them to the victory. So they ingeniously came up with a way to be associated with the first person to actually do it. They created an open competition and they made entry automatic. So anyone sailing single-handedly around the world that year would be considered in their race. So they just claim everyone. You're doing it, you mine. Mine. So anyone who's doing it.
They didn't even have to submit in 25 words or less.
No.
Why should you?
No.
Really? Can never do it. 25 words. How am I going to convey a story? Invoke emotion.
My tip was a limerick. I have won a trip to Mexico. It's true. It's true.
With a limerick?
That wasn't a limerick, no.
Okay.
That was a...
Hot tip then.
There once was a girl named Jess.
Uh-oh.
I assured her limericks are best. But she said no. Anyway, I don't remember the structure of a limerick. It's a work in progress. I think I was already up to 25 words. Anyway, so they're claiming anyone who's doing their thing. And to even further hedge their bets, they decided to set up 2 prizes. One was the Golden Globe trophy for the first person to sail non-stop around the world. And secondly, they set up a £5,000 prize for the sailor who completed the journey in the fastest time. So that, again, that's £60,000 in today's money. So now they're covered. Even if multiple people completed in 1 year, they get to claim the first person to do it and the fastest person. So they've got fingers in all pies.
In all pies.
All pies.
Dave, what did you eat before the show today?
I had a pie. I did not use my finger.
How did you eat it?
No. I honestly thought I could do that and I could not. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, weird.
Okay. So the only problem that comes with automatic entry is that there's no vetting process. You're absolutely right. And now literally anyone can compete in what is an essentially very dangerous task, and they couldn't stop people who weren't qualified to achieve it safely.
There's just a guy in a dinghy.
Legit.
Someone put their bath in there. Someone was just in their bath.
And the Sunday Times were like, they're doing it for us.
Yes.
Claiming it. The one concession to safety was that they required all competitors to start between the 1st of June and the 31st of October. Halloween. Scary. In order to... It's a spooky episode.
He mentioned the date of Halloween.
So they want you to go in those months in order to pass through the treacherous Southern Ocean in the treacherous Chichester Southern Ocean in the safer period of summer. That's their only concession. You have to go through the dangerous bit in summer when there's less winds.
Okay.
Oh, the only other rule was that the entrants had to start and finish their journey somewhere in the British Isles.
Start and finish. Okay, yep.
Yeah, great.
Sure.
That's so far you've only done 2, the only other rules.
Yeah.
I think you only get 1, the only other rules.
yeah.
The only other rule is you never question the rules. Please adhere to that rule. All in all, 9 men were to take on the challenge. A few of them were Robert Knox Johnston, the aforementioned English Navy man and sailor.
Mm-hmm.
South African-raised Nigel Tetley.
Oh, that's also good.
Frenchman Bernard Mortissier. Oui. These men were all experienced sailors wanting to sail into history. They knew what they were getting into, these guys. Of course, they didn't have GPS satellites or constant weather updates like people do today.
What?
I didn't know that. In fact, Robert Knox Johnston's weather system was a barometer from the wall of a pub. He described one.
And it also has a clock, but every time just says beer o'clock.
He's just constantly cheersing. What a guy. Already read that bit. Now, no one was surprised that these men had volunteered for the competition. They're sailors. They're hardcore. However, 4 days after the race was declared, an unlikely competitor stepped forth. His
Mother
name.
Teresa.
She was like, I got this.
She probably would have been more qualified than this man, Donald Crowhurst.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, he's from the name of the show.
Yes!
Woo! I reckon this is going to be linked. I reckon this is going to have something to do with it.
He's the kind of guy in a sitcom that appears the studio audience applaud. That's the kind of
The
guy.
Oh,
Kramer.
yeah. He's Fonzie.
He is the Fonz. Does he die?
We all die, mate.
Yep. Thank you, Matt.
Sorry to be the one to have to tell you that. Fuck. The look on your face. Oh, a little cuddle.
Jess just gave him a hug.
Everyone saw that.
Yeah, everyone in the room saw that, but the people listening in the at home did not see that.
Well, they
It's
should have been
amazing.
here.
It's amazing. They somehow missed it. Donald Crowhurst, our main man, the Fonz Orelli, was born in British India in 1932. His father worked on the Indian Railways whilst his mother was a school teacher. When his father died, they moved to England and they were soon beset by financial death.
You people are sick.
They were soon beset by financial problems. Ooh, financial problems. Crowhurst briefly served in the armed forces when he grew up, but was forced to resign after a rowdy evening involving a stolen car.
Matt.
I don't fully understand.
I don't know. I just feel like you're the crazy party bad boy of the pod.
Oh, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
How many rowdy nights have you had that ended in a stolen car?
Could count them on bloody
Choice.
2 hands.
Four.
That's more than 5. It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Could count them on more than 2 hands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Well,
I know lingo.
well, our guy is a bit of a bad boy, and what do all bad boys do, Jess? That's right.
Throw shuckers.
They shucker and then start an electronics business in Bridgewater, found in our favourite county of Somerset.
Somerset.
I fucking love Somerset.
Somerset.
Look, I've never been to Somerset, but I imagine they're shucking all night long.
All night.
They are shucker-lucking. Anyway, need to stretch my legs there. He married Claire and together they had 4 children.
Too many.
He married Claire and together they had 3 children. 2 children.
Hey.
Dropping like flies.
He was an engineer and designed and sold marine navigation equipment in his electronics store, which had some success, but then his business started to fail.
Uh-oh.
Crowhurst, who could at best be described as a weekend sailor at this point, decided to gain publicity for himself and his business by entering the Golden Globe race.
I mean, he's still got more experience than us, you know? Like, I can't judge. Anyway, go on. Like, oh, he's only sails every weekend. I think that's still pretty good.
You said he was less likely than Mother Teresa. Was Mother Teresa like a 3-day-a-week sailor, or?
Yeah, 3-day weekend.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, baby, she's out on the sea.
Shucka-luckin'.
That's not catching on. Confident of that.
Is that catching on?
No.
Oh, I got a thumbs up. I got a couple of shucks.
Shuckers, yeah.
Shucka-luckin'. Let's all say it. 1, 2, 3.
That's
so good.
so
It's
stupid.
almost like they'll say anything I want them to.
If you're desperate enough, yes.
On the count of 3, Dave's desperate. 1, 2, 3. Dave's desperate. Yes, he is. Okay. So, Crowhurst, the weekend sailor.
Crowhurst,
He was,
the weekend sailor.
With Crowhurst, the skipper too, the millionaire, and original Gilligan's Island theme song, the movie star, and the rest. There was only 2 more, Professor and Marianne, and they were just the rest. That's
Brutal.
fucked.
That's brutal.
Series 2, they sorted it out. Don't worry about that.
This podcast is Dave and the rest.
And the rest. Anyway, so
I'm
Crowhurst had been inspired by Francis Chichester's story of sailing around the world, and for a man who had grown up with adventure stories of heroes overcoming challenges, this seemed like a way to make his mark on the world and at the same time gain fame, and fortune. He's a triple threat: fame, and fortune.
Yeah.
His wife Claire was supportive and told him that if he was able to raise the money for the journey, then he deserved it.
On you, Claire.
Good on her.
I think that's kind of stating the obvious there, Claire.
Yeah.
If you're able to do this, then you can do it. Oh, thanks, Claire. Thanks for your support. You dog. Nah, that wasn't right. That wasn't right.
Crowhurst did not say that. He said, thank you. He needed money, yes, but he didn't want to just buy a boat, Jess. Oh, no. This engineer wanted to build his own boat.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus is right. A boat that could beat the rest of the field of highly qualified and experienced sailors. He thought that was the one thing getting in his way of victory. He was able to get the money and sponsorship that he needed from a caravan dealer.
Great. That's good, because you got the triple bunk and stuff. That's a way. If I'm sailing, I want to have like a small, shitty stove.
Next to the toilet.
And a table that turns into a bed.
He's not...
Not a lot of caravanners in tonight.
Yeah, growing up in the affluent East, we never used a caravan.
He's not sailing a caravan.
Well, I'm confused then.
The caravan dealer was Stanley Best, who was a businessman but not experienced with this kind of sponsorship, so he offered Crowhurst a business deal. The deal was if Crowhurst pulled out of the race before it started or early on, then Crowhurst would have to buy the boat back off of him. To afford this, Crowhurst would have to sell his home and business. So basically, now he has to do it or he'll lose everything.
But he just has to start the race. I'd do a little Yui in the bay.
Toot toot! He pretty much has to complete the race.
Oh.
That's different.
Like a large...
It's quite entirely different to what I thought.
Yeah. And Crowhurst agreed to the deal. He also hired Rodney Holworth from the Daily Mail as his public relations officer. The newspaper would have exclusive access to him during the attempt and would regularly report his progress. So as well as his own hopes and dreams, and now his family, the caravan dealer and now a newspaper are relying on his success. The pressure is already mounting. The boat Crowhurst built for the trip was the Tinmouth Electron, a 40-foot or 12-metre long trimaran.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to explain what that is, but obviously you know what it is, so okay?
Try means have a go. And obviously, I think a moran is a dessert, right? Yeah. So I think we've been able to piece that together.
That's startlingly close. A trimaran is a multi-hull, 3-hull boat that comprises a main hull.
Where I got 3 from.
And a triptych of hulls, if you will, yes. 2 small outer hulls on the outside, and then the water goes in between the mini one and the main one, you know? Sort of looks a bit like a big canoe and then 2 small canoes on the outside, and then they've got sticks. Basically, that's not what it is.
Where's the jacuzzi?
Pardon?
Where's the jacuzzi?
Oh. In the bunk bed.
That sounds like
Improv.
poor design. Honestly, is that true?
I told you-
That is not going to work out well.
I've never been in a caravan. At the time, this was an unproven type of yacht for a voyage of such length.
The one that he just made up.
No, it's a style of boat, but he was just making.
I mean,
his
sure, it's a
specifications.
style of boat. Yes, the style that he just came up with. Out the back.
It did exist, but it was experimental, and this type of vessel appealed to him because trimarans have the potential to sail much more quickly than single-hulled boats.
I feel like these details could have been left out.
I've written such a long report, it's full of dull, boring things. How will we ever get through it?
What I'll do is read on.
That,
Sorry to get through these factual bits of admin. The main design.
Get to the death.
Well, the main downside of this type of boat is, which I'll go off script here for, is they can go fast. They're pretty reliable, but if they do fall over, they are impossible to get back up. So if you're in the middle of the ocean and it falls over, you're fucked. You're fucked.
It falls over. You guys heard about that boat that fell over, yeah?
That's why I don't go off script. Capsize.
Thank you,
Capsize. Capsize. Don't challenge me, Jess. I've got a word for everything here.
Fell over.
To counter this falling over problem, Crowhurst he'd planned to put an inflatable buoyancy bag on the top of the sail, so if it fell over, it would sort of deploy and put the boat back up. But then he ran out of time, so he decided, I'll just do it on the run. I'll do it on the go. I'll finish that later. I'll finish that bit later.
Nah, good.
Come on, let's get behind him. He's going to make it. Whilst he was still getting his ship built and ready, the other men already started to leave. The first man, John Ridgway, left from Ireland on June the 1st. However, just 16 days later, he was feeling lonely, so he decided to meet up with some friends so they could drop off some mail. And whilst he was reading some of the mail, which included a copy of the Sunday Times newspaper, he read in that newspaper that he just breached the rules by getting mail from a friend. So he was technically disqualified. He discovered that within the mail. Che Blythe also... how goes that name? Che Blythe.
Che Blythe. Oh, Che Blythe.
Che Blythe. Also left in early June, and although an experienced rower, he'd had even less sailing experience than Donald Crowhurst. In fact, he'd never ever sailed a ship before. On the day he set sail, he had friends sail in front of him to show him the correct manoeuvres that he was mirroring. How ridiculous
Good. It's like, I'm figuring it out.
does that mean he learned it all backwards then?
is that? Yeah. He was still... He was a left-hander.
This feels like it's going to go well.
Robert Knox Johnston, our Englishman earlier, he left mid-June. At the end of June, Nigel Tetley also announced he was going to be involved in his trimaran that he lived aboard with his wife. So now there's 2 trimarans. And he took off. Now, so the Clipper route, basically, it's all the way from England, down the side of Africa, across to Australia and New Zealand, under South America, back up to South America, past Brazil and to England. Does that make any sense?
No, you did it like a square.
So it's like down like this, across like
that
this.
makes me fear
goes around
you're
the
a flat
globe,
earther.
and then you come back up. Basically, it's a square. It's not a square.
Oh, no.
All in all, it's 30,000 miles, and at the time, people didn't know if a human being could be alone for that long, and if a ship could survive being out there.
What did they think would happen if someone was alone? They didn't realise people could be alone.
No, they thought that
Science had to figure that out.
they thought the isolation that you could go mad at sea.
Right.
I'd love it.
Like mad.
Yeah. Shucka-luckin', am I right? But of course, 9 men were vying to prove them wrong. Everyone's taken off. Meanwhile, Donald is far from ready. In fact, 8 weeks after the first guy left, he hadn't even begun to put his boat together yet.
Good.
Che Blythe was doing well. He was actually winning the guy that had never sailed before, but unfortunately he hit rough weather and had to pull out, so he's gone.
Of the route.
Yes. He had to pull out of the route. That is very good.
Dave, do you get it? I'll explain later.
I don't get it, but it was very good. My other favourite person in this thing is the Frenchman, Mortizier, who was a bit of a fight the power type.
Revolution.
Your kind.
He was a real
that.
revolutionary, and he'd already been planning on sailing around the world. So when the Sunday Times invited him to join their race, he was horrified, seeing it as a commercialisation of his voyage, as a violation of the spiritual ideal which had inspired it in the first place.
Oh, this guy sounds no good.
But he was convinced to join, and his plan was that he would join the race, and then if he won, he would take the prize and would leave without a word of thanks.
That'll show him. That is a revolution.
I
well
forgot
done.
we were filming this when I did that. Twice.
You
Straight down the barrel.
jizzed on the barrel.
Sorry, Shane.
So I'm confused, genuinely. Would you believe it? Is it the first person to make it, or is it the shortest amount of time it takes?
2 prizes. So you get a trophy if you're the first one back, and you get £5,000 if within the year you make it back and you're the fastest time. So if 10 people complete it, you get a trophy for the first guy, and the fastest sailor gets the $5,000.
Does that clear
Does
that
that make
up?
sense? So that's why they can leave at different times.
And that $5,000 equals 110 grand.
in
that-
Aussie dollars today. Yep.
Right. Bloody hell. Good stuff. Well, I'm now really into this story. There's a lot at stake here.
Well, this is how Mortizier, the Frenchman, described the voyage in his own notes. Quote, anyone who tries it
No,
just...
sorry, Dave, in a French accent, please. I need to visualise the characters.
You're pretty good at French. You give me a credit.
Your report, mate.
The man
Your
of a
report.
thousand noises, number 604, was that French accent?
Yeah, I can do French.
Can you read that quote there? Anyone who tries it.
Wait, it's an English quote.
He's bilingual, but he still has an accent. Thank you.
Anyone who tries it just for the money or prestige is going to break.
Very good.
That was pretty good.
Now do one of your machine gun sounds.
No, I don't. Look, if a machine gun is involved in the story, sure, I will
Dave.
mimic what it would.
He then grabbed a machine gun. It's good stuff. So
That's just one of them. That's just one kind of machine gun. Obviously, I can't do them all, but there's 3 or 4 others.
There's 3 or 4 others. 3 or 4.
Maybe even more than that. I don't know. We've got an American in. How many guns are there out there? Oh, is that no good?
7.
There wasn't one overnight, was there?
Yeah, you did that last time.
All right. We'll edit there and we'll move right along.
Read the quote again in case anybody
in case you
missed
didn't
it.
hear it.
If you don't speak French.
Yeah.
Anyone who tries it just for the money or the prestige is going to break.
Well, why else are they doing it? Shits and gigs?
We'll cut to our friend Donald Crowhurst. Crowhurst was convinced to launch from Tynmouth for the publicity launch, a town which is 150 miles in the wrong direction. So he's just added 300 miles to his trip.
I love him.
Getting the ship to Tynmouth was the first outing on his ship. You know, a chance to get a feel for it, prove that he knows what he's doing. And the trip should have taken 3 days. It took 2 weeks. This cost him valuable getting my shit ready time, and now he was really under the pump. Before he set off, he was frequently interviewed, and you can watch press stuff with him, and the press followed his preparation carefully. He said to a TV crew, quote, not in French, I think one's psychology has to be fairly stable, and one has to be constantly aware of the risks one is running.
One does, doesn't one?
One must.
Oh, one must. On camera in front of the press, he always gave off a cool, calm, collected vibe, always bright and cheerful. But underneath...
Who's that remind you of, mate? Cool, calm, collected, bright and cheerful. Who's that?
Who do you want me to say?
Jesse...
Jess. You, Jess.
Stop it.
Yeah, I also wasn't sure if she was having a crack at one of us, or...
I'm never sure.
Jess, is this also you? But underneath... I was going to say...
Yep, that's her. That is her, big time.
Well, Underneath, he/Jess knew he was underprepared for what lay ahead of him, and when the camera turned off, his face dropped.
Yeah.
What do you like when the camera turns off?
I'm so sad. It's the highlight of my week. Yeah. No, it's okay, I'm fine. Ish. Anyway.
You know what, I've got a good... The story really picks up here because when the boat was finally considered ready, as is customary, they broke a bottle of champagne against the hull.
Yes.
Supposed to be a way to christen the new ship for good luck, safe travel, you know. However, rather ominously, the bottle, which was tied to a ribbon and then smashed into the side of the boat, didn't break. Donald had to smash it by hand. Many sailors would consider this to be a terribly bad sign.
Not Donald!
The day before the launch, Donald reportedly sat trembling, repeating, "The boat isn't ready. The boat isn't ready."
I'd say a lot of sailors say that's a bad sign.
And Dave said we knew nothing about sailing.
He went to his sponsor and he went to his press person and said, "It's not ready. I can't go." And they said, "It's October 30th. Tomorrow is Halloween. Have you got your costume? And you have to leave tomorrow, or you'll have to mortgage your house."
Shit.
So he had to go. By this point,
as a sexy nurse.
Well, in a way, he was wearing a yellow one-piece suit when he left. I don't know what, not typical sailing gear, but that's what he left. His wife and kids accompanied him out to his ship, and he set sail for what could be a year-long journey. However, he failed to even leave the harbour. He had to be towed back in and finally left a few hours later. Fuck.
He's the best.
Just a couple of weeks into his journey, Crowhurst's deficiencies as a sailor and the unprepared craft's faults were already starting to show. In the rush to get crucial repair materials, he'd actually left them behind in Tynmouth.
Wait, what? In the rush to get them, he left them.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's how rushed he was.
A lot of sailors will see that as a very good sign. I reckon he's improving.
He was under no illusions that the craft was unfit for the conditions he would be facing. Nevertheless, he continued. By this time, 5 of the other sailors had already been disqualified or retired due to the conditions, leaving just 4 boats left in the race. We've got Englishman Robert Knox-Johnston, Frenchman Mortizier, the badass who gives no fucks, Tetley in his own trimaran, the one that's on his houseboat, basically, and Crowhurst now bringing up the rear. Crowhurst had been given a camera to document his journey, and on film he put on a very brave face, but off camera, in his diary, he told a very different story. He recalled how hatches were already leaking, screws were falling out, and the engine compartment electrics were already flooded. He wrote, quote, "This bloody boat is falling to pieces." And this was in the calm ocean, the start bit. And in that bit, he could bail out the compartments with buckets by hand, but once he got into the turbulent southern ocean where giant waves would constantly beat down on him, he knew bailing by hand would be impossible.
Impossible.
That's the first thing that's ever gone wrong. Simpsons? Itchy and Scratchy Land is the classic possible I go wrong. Donald knew this and wrote, quote, Donald knew this and we are out of abort license plates. My all-time favourite Simpsons joke. Anyway, there's no time, Matt, there's no time.
My son is also named Bort.
Yeah. No, come along, Bort. I'm sorry, were you talking to me? No, my son is also named Bort.
There's no time, Dave, there's no time.
Donald knew that it would be impossible to hand bail, and he wrote, quote, "As it stands with the boat in its current condition, my chances of survival would, I think, not be better than 50-50. Woo! Yeah! I like those odds! It was a lonely journey for these guys, because they didn't have a proper satellite radio or anything, so they basically, sometimes they could get through to telephones via a much shitter radio or through Morse code cables, so there's not much contact going on out there.
Just yell.
I think he was doing a lot of that.
So mail was a no-go, but you're allowed to phone people?
Yeah.
What's that about?
Again, rule 3, never question the rules.
Good point. You did say that clearly, didn't you? That cost us an audience member. Yeah.
I love rules as well. We all love rules. Oh, there's some guys over there. Do you want me to direct this towards you for a little bit? You get a little FaceTime?
It's douche
from plumbing the Death Star.
Sorry, Dusha.
Yeah.
Just one.
What episode were you on again? Ryan Gosling. One of my favourites.
What a guy.
Focus. There's no time.
Dusha, just
Let's
one.
catch up later.
We're only on page 11. Come on.
That's pretty good.
You're doing all right.
Just 1 month into the. Pardon?
No, Zamet.
Oh, hi.
Sorry, that's Zamet. You don't know him. Not from our pod. You know him from his pod, though. Any Sans Pants fans in? Oh, that was fun to say. All right, anyway, let's move on. Zamet's had his time.
Look, I'm trying to give him a bit of FaceTime, Matt. Come on. Just 1 month into the journey, guys. Crowhurst first wrote of giving up, but he was worried he would be ruined financially, and also... He giving them a bit of FaceTime as well, okay. He was worried he would be ruined financially, and also... He was worried he would be a laughingstock.
Do a wacky face. You doing it?
Okay, so Crowhurst. If he went... This is his thinking now is, if he went forward, he might die. If he went back, he'll be ruined. Not great options.
Go to the side. Obvious.
Actually, what he did.
Yes.
Plan C, which is lie. Lie and say he was doing really, really well.
Okay, is that sideways?
Yep. After his very slow start, he contacted his publicist and said things had suddenly picked up, and he travelled 243 nautical miles in 1 day, which was a new world record. Before this, he'd been averaging 60 nautical miles a day. He's just... Oh, I found the accelerator. Yes! It's not clear what his plan was at this point. He may have just intended to do this to save a bit of face. Basically, I didn't win, but I set a record. That's pretty good, and then retire early on. People back at home, including Francis Chichester, who'd already done this journey, were very sceptical. But the publicists in the Daily Mail were big into it, so... Oh, bit of shine there. They were well into it. They started...
Distracted himself with something shiny.
Anyway... The Daily Mail were loving it, so they just started publishing this sensational story, sort of making Donald into a bit of a hero. Now, Crowhurst, who may have just planned on retiring, suddenly he's the underdog now smashing world records and is on track to possibly even win this thing. Everyone thinks he can win now. Which, for him, may have been a bit of a backfire because now he has the chance of winning. People are expecting more from him again. Also, now he couldn't retire and pull into port because then they would work out he wasn't where he said he was and they would know he was a liar. So he is the king of painting himself into a corner. He's amazing at it.
He should just say he's done the whole thing 1.5 times.
Yeah. He's like, I was having fun, I just kept going.
Not that far off what he does. He decides to continue with the deception. And he kept 2 logs, one with his actual navigation, where he was, and a second log in which he could enter fake descriptions of his round-the-world voyage. But he's making up he's writing a novel now. The creation of this fake log was an incredibly intricate process involving the need to make up convincing descriptions of weather and sailing conditions in a different part of the world, as well as complex reverse navigation. So he's absolutely bullshitting out his ass.
Bullshitting out his ass.
Yeah.
The Australian vernacular is... Oh, mwah.
You
Welcome.
enjoying this?
Yeah.
Now, another possible plan was that he might be bullshitting and he thinks that he could catch up to this point. But then it got to a point where it was so far ahead, he had no hope of ever catching up with where he said he was. So, he started to send only cryptic messages back home in order to try and hide his real position and not give away that he was lying. Meanwhile...
The beaver only eats at midnight.
Seriously! The publicists would get it and they couldn't even publish the story because they'd be like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Beavers? Midnight?
Meanwhile, his 3 opponents were doing real well. Frenchman Morticia was making great speed. It was near New Zealand, nearly turning around. Nearly on the second half. And Robert Knox Johnston was basically on the home stretch. They're doing real good. So, Crowhurst came up with a new plan, Matt, which is not that far off going to the side. He would wait off the coast of South America long enough that when his opponents came back past, he would slip in behind them.
That's
and just say he'd done the whole thing.
That's so smart. That's like when we used to do like fun runs at high school.
Yes.
You'd catch the bus through half of it. So you just jump on the bus and do that leg and then jump on a bus and then cut through a park.
Yeah.
Wow, how did you run 10 Ks in 3.5 minutes? Well, we've been working out.
I remember doing a lapathon in my primary school. Did you ever do those?
Yeah, that's probably what I meant. I don't think they called them fun runs.
Well, no, but they had like this long table of teachers that would stamp your arm as you went past, and how many stamps you got like, people would pledge money to you, and you'd go at like the start of the line and be like, thank you, and then like somewhere in the middle and be like, ooh. I did a like record number of laps.
I think Jess just admitted to committing fraud.
Charity fraud.
I mean, well, it is fraud that helps charity. Yes, okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
I raised more money.
You dog.
Yeah.
So now he's just hanging out off the coast of South America, just staying put for a while. To try and buy himself some time so he could lie low, Crowhurst reported that due to generator problems, he was shutting off his radio for some time, so he can't talk to anyone. But now he had no communication with the outside world, and he was completely alone. Frenchman Morticia was sailing extremely quickly, and he was on track to finish the race and do so in the fastest time. He was told that a big reception was waiting for him in England, and that he would be escorted back to France for an even bigger reception. But being alone at sea, this badass, Morticia, had done a lot of thinking. Throughout his voyage, he'd been developing an increasing disgust with the excesses of the modern world. The planned celebration seemed to him to be yet another example of brash materialism. He decided...
Fuck off.
He decided to just...
they want to throw me a party.
You do good French.
I think the secret to French is start with That's end with bonbon.
Well, I would. So what did he do? He decided to just continue sailing. He left just 6 weeks away from home saying, quote, "My intention is to continue the voyage non-stop towards the Pacific Islands where there is plenty of sun and more peace than in Europe. Please do not think I am trying to break a record. A record is a very stupid word at sea. I am continuing non-stop because I'm happy at sea and perhaps because I want to save my soul." Fuck you to everyone else. He's going to win and he just decides to keep going around the world. What a guy. Just sails off into the sunset. But now he's out of the race, leaving 3 people left: Robert Knox Johnston, Tetley and Crowhurst. So it's cool. Crowhurst can just come third and be happy. That's what he wants to do.
Sorry, saw something shiny.
Disaster struck for Crowhurst just hanging out when a float split, which is a major thing that, a bit of damage to his boat. So he needed to make some repairs that he couldn't do at sea. So he quickly darted into port at Argentina, hoping he wouldn't be seen by anyone. Because remember, he's supposed to be like in the middle of the ocean. He fixed his boat real quick and then went back out to sea, and no one noticed.
Oh, he's incredible.
So good. And then he sailed a little bit south to the bottom of South America so he could film the big waves down there and say, "Look, I got film of the big waves. I saw it. And finally, after 4 months of isolation, Crowhurst's fake position off the coast of South America matched up with where he really was. So he snuck back into the race behind Tetley and radioed home. This caused a media sensation. They haven't heard from him in 4 months because it looked like Robert Knox Johnston, who'd left well before the others. He was going to win the race, but Tetley and Donald Crowhurst were both in the running for the fastest time. Remember, Crowhurst wants... by this way, this is a part of his plan is he wants to come second because he figures the winner's logbook will be scrutinised because they're the winner, but if he just comes second, no one's going to give a shit. So no one will even bother fact-checking it. So he'll still be a hero, he'll get his mortgage back, but no one will look at the logbook. That's his plan. He wants to come second.
Got a bit of Bradbury feel about this.
Tetley, informed that he might be robbed of the fastest time prize, started pushing harder, despite the fact that his boat was having significant problems already. He made major repairs at sea in an attempt to stop the port hull of his trimaran falling off, and he kept racing. A few days later, on April 22nd, Robert Knox Johnston arrived home and he won the trophy. First guy home. Well done.
Also, the whole time I've been thinking Knox Johnson sounds like a nickname for a penis. This whole time I've just been thinking of a giant penis. Sailing a boat.
Was your question going to be what kind of penis?
Yes. Well, I mean, what does that say to you?
I don't know. I'm just telling you how I feel.
Thank you for opening up, Jess. It's nice to be let in there, in your heart every now and then.
Robert Knox Johnston, the penis guy, he completed his journey in 312 days and was welcomed home a hero. So he's the first guy here. This leaves Tetley and Crowhurst battling out for the fastest time in the 5,000.
Only one of them wants to lose.
I know. 5,000 prize money.
And the other one wants to win. It feels like it should be an easy battle.
Yeah. They should have just communicated, I reckon.
Well, Crowhurst sent a message home saying, there's no chance of me overtaking Tetley. Sort of just trying to, make everyone expect he's going to come second so no one gets upset. But disaster struck. The crazy irony was that Tetley was so worried about being overtaken by a man who secretly didn't want to overtake him that he pushed his boat so hard that one morning during a storm his boat started to sink.
Hey, at least it didn't fall over.
It didn't fall over. Tetley had to abandon ship and radio for help, and he was rescued from a lifeboat. Don't be disappointed that he didn't die.
Yeah. They did name a brand of tea after him, so...
That's a consolation.
Yeah.
Because he was dunked into the water.
That was an alley-oop.
So Tetley's out. Donald is the only one left, and given the speeds he'd been reporting and telling everyone he's doing, he's almost guaranteed to come home with the fastest time. That's what everyone thinks.
Fastest bullshit time.
Excited back at home, they radioed him to tell him of this good news that Tetley was out. And he's going, fuck. Crowhurst started to panic. He slowed his pace to a crawl, aimlessly floating in the ocean. His main radio failed shortly after hearing this news, and he was plunged back into solitude. So before he pretended his radio didn't work, now he actually wants to talk to people, especially his wife. He can't talk to anyone. He spends weeks trying to repair the radio, trying to contact his wife Claire. And on June 22nd, he was again finally able to transmit and receive in Morse code. Basically, he was told the exact opposite of what he wanted to hear. His publicist was telling him about all the syndication rights to the story that had already been sold, and now he's going to be welcomed home a hero with over 100,000 people expected to meet him on the shore. He was not going to be able to avoid the spotlight and scrutiny that would expose him as the fraud he was. So they're all like, yes! And he's like, no! Unable to see a way out of his situation, Crowhurst spent most of his days writing out his philosophy in his diary, attempting to find an escape in metaphysics. Over the next 8 days, he wrote 25,000 words about God and the devil. He wrote, quote, "I have become a second-generation cosmic being. I am conceived in the womb of nature in my own mind, in the womb of the universe." Basically, the isolation and the... I mean, you could say that the isolation and the impossibility of the situation was getting to him. A little bit.
You could say.
His final entry was on July 1st, 1969. He wrote, "It is finished, it is finished, it is finished. It is the mercy, it is the end of my game. The truth has been revealed." Donald Crowhurst's 10-mouth electron was discovered by a cargo ship floating in the Atlantic Ocean 9 days later. Donald was no longer aboard. It is assumed he jumped off and drowned. So it's kind of a mystery episode.
Oh, fucking hell.
I know, you didn't
That
see that.
escalated hard at the end.
You people are sick. There was fist pumping.
I know, he's... Ugh. At first, it seemed like a horrible accident, but on discovery of his diary, his 2 logs, the real one and the fake one, and his video camera, it showed what had really happened aboard the Electron. The true story of his... so that was a big story. Everyone was like, oh, he obviously just fell off at first. That's what they thought the newspapers published. The true story of his deception was revealed a few weeks later when his press agent, Rodney Holworth, who sounded like a bit of a scumbag in this story, sold his logbooks to a London newspaper that caused a sensation.
Oh! Nah, well played.
Robert Knox Johnston, who'd been the only man to complete the race, therefore won the trophy and the £5,000 for the fastest time, but he donated the money to Crowhurst's family after the tragedy.
Oh,
what a great guy.
Now I feel bad for thinking of him as a giant penis. Oh, he wasn't a dick at all.
Nothing wrong with a big penis. Right?
Are you looking at me?
Yes!
Oh, fuck off.
I hated where that went.
Right, so that is basically the story. This year in 2018, for the 50th anniversary of the race, 19 sailors will again attempt the Clipper route in just 2 months from today. On June 14, they're off.
Wow, cool.
Obviously, it's a lot safer now because if they get in trouble, they just send up a GPS thing and someone comes to rescue them. So it's a way. I mean, I'd try it now.
Is there a
Would
more
you?
boring sport in the world than sailing?
Yes, I've been watching a lot of the Commonwealth Games.
Which one is it? Which one?
Long jump. What? No,
These human beings jump 8 meters.
Yes, and they think they're fucking rock stars. Seriously, before every one of them jumps, they do this to the crowd. They go. And I'm like, fuck off. Do a real sport. That's my thoughts. Also, rhythmic gymnastics can get fucked. High jump's sick though.
Shucka-luckin'.
I was the year 7 high jump champion at my school, 2003. No big deal.
You're right, it was not.
Over the decades, Donald Crowhurst's story has been inspired many movies and documentaries. In 2006, a documentary called Deep Water was released, which I've seen is very fantastic. If you want to,
It's very fantastic.
and that's been Margaret and David at the movies. 4 fantastics out of 5 fantastics. I'm just trying to make it my own.
It was very fantastic.
In 2017, 2 different feature films were released about him.
That's
2.
too many in a year.
One was called Crowhurst, starring Justin Salinger, which was overshadowed heavily by the other one because it was called The Mercy and it starred Colin Firth. So, there you go. He actually looks a lot like Colin Firth, Donald Crowhurst. So
Really?
Haven't seen anyone seen that, The Mercy?
Nah, Soph's checked with everyone. No.
Now to finish off, would you like some fun facts? Do you want to guess what my fun facts are about?
Boats.
They're about crows.
Boats and crows.
To be honest, I thought this was going to be like fun, then he died and everyone was going to get bummed out. And I'd bring it back with some fun facts, but you guys were all so pumped when he died. But anyway, this is some fun facts.
Yeah.
We'll get through these. Number 1, crows are very smart. So smart that some zoologists admiringly call them feathered apes. In fact... I mean, they're not feathered apes. In fact, proportionally to the size of their bodies, some crows have larger brains than humans. Was that fun?
Yeah.
Feathered Apes is fun.
Feathered Apes is a bit
Feathered
fun.
Apes, I'm
now
glad I
that's a cool band name.
Hey Webby, do you have any, explosion's been done, mate. You got anything more fun than that for fun facts?
Yeah,
let's
try
see,
the
let's
next
see.
one.
I'll get another
Next
one.
one, next one.
I've got 2 more. They are so smart.
Oh.
Well, this is really building it up now. They are so smart they can understand traffic lights. In Japan, crows take walnuts and drop them onto the road waiting for cars to run them over to crack them open. The reason they rarely get run over is they've worked out what green and red traffic light means and they only swoop when it's safe to do so. And final fact.
Hang on.
This one's from my good friend, Matty Stew. The Adelaide Crows have won twice as many premierships as Matt's team. Despite having played in the league 93 years longer than the Crows. Fun fact!
Very good.
True, thank you.
Brutal fact. Brutal.
Yeah, brutal
fact.
fact. Well, but that is the end of the report. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out, packing this out. So good
Dave
to see you.
Warnicky, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Well done. Well done. That was great.
I was worried that was going to be depressing, but great. What a crazy
I had a lot of
story.
fun.
Yeah, oh, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
glad you had fun. Did you guys have a good time? Great. I mean, I answered before you just because I was like, I don't want to pressure them into this, and I did. Sorry about that. We've got one more show coming up next Sunday or Saturday. Or this Saturday if you are listening at home. It's our final podcast. Only a few tickets left, so please come down and pack out the last one. Matt, you're into your final week of shows.
Yes.
Yeah, thank God it's nearly over. Yeah.
That is not what that woo was about. He was there last night. He was wooing from the memories of the joy that he felt.
Of course.
I assume.
Did you feel joy? A little bit, tiny bit of joy? Not really.
Big joy.
You met your sister.
I mean, that's not that. I mean, that was not everyone gets to sit next to my sister. That was a weird one.
I went.
Oh, well, that's weird. All right. Very supportive.
Matt's best review was his sister was nice. That would be so rude. Anyway, it's a fantastic show. You are generally a great stand-up comedian, so I encourage people to go along. I do.
Jess, it's called Dry Ginger Ale. Yes.
Every time.
And it's on at 7 o'clock at the Chinese Museum. And I've also just added a date in Sydney for Sydney listeners on the 12th of May. I was going to say the 12th of the month that comes after April, but yours is also true, I guess. Okay. At the Giant Dwarf at 9:30, so that should be fun.
Great venue. And I've got one more for the people in the room. Blind Dating Show Spectacular on Monday night, 9 o'clock. Please come along and find some comedians, find love. Got some great guests, and I would love to see you there. Making a lot of eye contact, sort of pressuring them into coming.
I'd love to see you there.
Yeah, I wanted to make that feel personal and invasive. Thank you so much for coming out. Can we have a big round of applause for the European Beer Cafe for having us here? Jeremy Webb on sound. Bianca Pradolin on the shirts and on the camera. Shane Dunlop, thank you so much. Thanks to Karl, Chandler for organising this venue for us. Do you guys have anything else you want to say?
We always forget, but we are selling T-shirts and wristies. You're welcome.
Please.
And just come say hi.
Yeah,
We'll also be upstairs too. So if there's anyway, too much admin. We'll be there.
Thanks, guys. Goodbye. Bye.